welcome back to another episode of Degen Talk. I'm your host, Jack, and today I have a very special guest, Kai from Swarm, probably one of the biggest AI agents out there. So, hi, Kai.
Hey, how's it going? Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I've been following Swarm since day one, and it's pretty surreal. I'm able to bring you on. We met in Hong Kong finally in person, so that was such a pleasure. So yeah, gonna give us an intro of yourself and Swarm, please.
My name is Kye Gomez, originally from Miami, now working in California, Menlo Park, Palo Alto. I started building neural networks when I was around 13. I started a research lab called Agora, which open sourced foundation models, and now recently building Swarms, which was the first ever agent framework that we started building 4 years ago. And our goal, our vision is to automate the world economy and to create a new world order, which is the agentic world economy, where agents are creating companies, building products, selling products, and basically doing anything digital or virtual that humans do now.
The idea of Swarm is pretty insane, to be honest. What's the current focus at Swarm right now?
So I'd say our current focus is improving the infrastructure and making it simpler for people to build really enterprise grade, really reliable agents. I would say historically speaking, like the syntax and the ability for people to make agents, like people still have like I'd say some difficulty understanding what agents are. And so I think like, improving the infrastructure, making it simpler for people to build agents and also educating people on like exactly what are agents, how do you build agents, how do you make them good, how do you deploy them, how do you maintain them. Like there's still like so much, like there's a massive educational gap right now between the market, and I think it's our responsibility to teach as many people like, what are agents, how do you build them, how do you make them reliable, and then give them all the tools and infrastructure they need to build those agents and deploy them into their companies and organizations.
Before we go down the rabbit hole, how did you tell us about your journey in sort of Web3 and how did it inspire you to come up with this idea for Swarm?
It's Swarms has been around for a long time actually. We didn't really start recent. We started building Swarms like 4 years ago. But the reason why we got into Web3 in December is because we had a lot of like users in Asia that wanted to use agents, but there was no easy way for them to pay for our agents. And so we were like, what if we, created like a payment mechanism, like a currency, so that we could process these payments? Because agents are like, when you use an agent, like it could be very like the price of a run could be very cheap. It can be like, 50 cents or like half a cent or half of a cent. And so like doing this with traditional fiat and banking systems is extremely difficult. And in some cases, it's not possible at all. So we originally made the coin and we joined Web3 to handle the payments and the payment infrastructure for agents, because the traditional banking system was not made for very high frequency transactions and very small transactions, because every time you use an agent, like it's very small, very fast transactions. And there's also like a lot of fees and things like that. Yeah. So that was originally like how we got into Web3.
Awesome. What's in store for your community and your users in the next coming 6 to 12 months?
Within the next couple of months, we want to, like, our Python framework is relatively stable and has a lot of functionality. So we want to port over all of our functionality from Python into Rust. Like, our Rust framework is pretty new, but already have over like 40,000 downloads. So it's growing pretty fast, and we want to make the Rust framework as fast as possible, because I personally believe that Rust, like our Rust framework is on average 50 to 100 times faster than Python. And so we want to keep improving the Rust framework and make it as good as possible. We also want to make more improvements to our Launchpad and partner up with projects and basically work with them from like inception to like launch. Like we want to like essentially provide like all the infrastructure people need to build agents, launch agents, tokenize agents, monetize agents, and provide like the entire infrastructure stack for people to build and launch agentic applications or even companies. So we do that, through our Rust and Python framework. We want to like keep improving our TypeScript framework. It's still relatively new, but I think that'll also open up a lot of adoption. And so that's kind of like on the developer side. On the Launchpad side, there's a lot of new functionality that we're adding to our Launchpad, and we're also just making like all of the backend infrastructure for the Launchpad to be extremely fast. We're building our own like order book with like the fastest database in the world. We want to make it like as fast, as fun as possible, and also like add in protections for like anti-rug mechanisms, and try to protect investors within the platform. And there's also going to be like a lot of like AI native features within the Launchpad as well. And so those are like frameworks, Launchpad. Another thing that we're going to be doing on the Launchpad is we're going to be having like ETFs. So we're going to launch kind of like a permissionless ETF where investors can invest in this ETF, and then agents will manage those funds and allocate them to top AI projects like ACT, ARC, like essentially like start like creating like a Solana ecosystem ETF that investors can buy into. Just by investing in the ETF, you can own assets across the best, what we personally believe to be, the most useful, the best projects on Solana. So we're gonna launch a new product there for the permissionless ETFs, and we're also gonna be launching a fully autonomous hedge fund, which is also going to be permissionless. And
Wow.
so that's also going to function very similar to the ETF, where any investor around the world can invest into the hedge fund, and then the agents will go and actively trade this, like manage the capital in real time, and even build like real time high frequency trading algorithms to enable those agents to, adapt their trading strategy to whatever they're trading. It could be meme coins, or it could be, like top 100 coins on centralized exchanges, but where we have partnerships with the biggest exchanges to allow our agents to actively trade in very high frequencies on their platform. So those are going to be like kind of like two new investor products. And so aside from that, those are like just like product stuff, new products, improving our existing products. Again, we want to educate as many people as possible on agents. I think the lack of adoption now with agents is not really that they're not capable of a specific activity. I personally believe it's because there's not enough education on how to build agents, and that's acting as like a very, very big roadblock for people who want to adopt agents, personally as individuals, or within their companies or institutions, and etc. And so that's kind of a recurring theme we've seen over the years, is that people just don't know how to build agents. Because it is extremely difficult. If you haven't been in AI for many years, like building a really, really good agent is kind of difficult. So, but yeah, so those are like some updates, and
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I've tried building my own agents. When you fork other people's code and stuff, if you to try and adjust it to a way that really kind of benefits you, or personalize it to a level that it's useful to you, is actually pretty difficult, right? Because you got to kind of make sure that it understands exactly what you need, and that's probably the hardest thing, right? Even with prompting, right? That's when prompting is so important, like there's prompting engineers and stuff, because it's really to just get AI to spit out what you want, right? And not just generalized kind of gibberish that everybody gets. So that's where the value comes in. I think if Swarm is able to kind of simplify that process, right, able to get users to come in and build exactly what they want, that would be absolutely huge. So talking about the Swarm token, right? Any up and coming utilities or extra kind of incentives coming? Like, is that coming on that token side for users or
yeah,
holders?
of course, yes. We a couple of months ago we launched our DAO slash foundation, and all of our DAO members will be receiving revenues from our launchpad. Well, essentially, like how their launchpad works is we take a 1% fee on buys and sells of any token on the platform. And so like all the revenue that we make from the platform will be essentially allocated to DAO members and people who join the DAO. So we're gonna take some of those fees, and we might even kind of do like airdrops, so that like basically like an allocation of the revenue that we make from the launchpad will be reallocated and dropped to holders. So if people have never sold Swarms before, I think those people should be rewarded, and we are going to reward them. A couple of utilities on the token side is, well, first, the main goal for the token is to kind of become like the default currency for all agent
Frozen
transactions,
again.
agent trade in the world. So that's kind of like the main vision. So we're partnering up now with lots of different startups, lots of different institutions to integrate Swarms as their main method of payments. So paying for agents, they'll have Swarms on their platform, so you could pay in Swarms. And we're going to be creating a lot of like the financial infrastructure for people to pay for agents and agent related services with Swarms coin. And so, yeah, that's kind of like the reason why we started the coin was to enable payments for agentic services. And we're going to be scaling that up to a massive degree, working with startups, AI startups in Web3, AI startups in Web2, enabling them to build like decentralized cross-border global payments with Swarms. So that's kind of like, that's the reason why we made the coin in the first place, is to enable cross-border, simple, decentralized payments for agents to transact with each other or for people to pay for agents. And so we've already integrated Swarms coin into our marketplace, and we have lots of different users from Asia and Africa paying for services with Swarms coin. So, enabling like integrating the Swarms coin into every single one of our like payment connections is already done. And the launchpad, the native currency of our launchpad is in Swarms. So you could only buy tokens if you can only really use the platform if you have Swarms tokens. So yeah, that's kind of like another big utility for the Swarms coin. And also for the DAO, I don't know. Yeah, so for the DAO, people that invested in the DAO will be getting revenue from the launchpad. So we're going to be setting up a smart contract to essentially like we're currently send out funds to people that invested in the DAO, so that our DAO members and contributors are incentivized to keep building and keep promoting Swarms and keep building Swarms. And so yeah, so payment infrastructure, making simple payment infrastructure, launchpad fees will be in Swarms coin. We're also like integrated the Swarms coin into all of our payment mechanisms. So in our marketplace, swarms.world, you could pay for agents, you could, pay for the Swarms API in Swarms coin, and also enabling other applications and startups to integrate Swarms coin into their stack as well. Like Create now.xyz also leverages Swarms coin. So you could like pay for like images and videos on Create with Swarms coin. And so yeah, basically like our goal is to make Swarms the default currency of all AI and Web. And that's why we made the coin, and that's what we're gonna do.
That's huge. It sounds like you're building Web 4 or even Web 5, right? So next question is going to be a bit difficult, I think. What's the key differentiator with Swarm compared to other similar AI agent projects? I mean, you've got things like virtuals and stuff, right? What's the key differentiator there?
Yeah, so I would say like the biggest one is that Swarms is really focused on enterprise B2B real world agents, and people like Virtuals, Eliza, AI16Z are mostly focused on meme agents, which are completely useless economically speaking. It is incredibly difficult for it's incredibly difficult for a meme agent to make money. Yeah, like one of our agents has probably made more money than every agent on Virtuals or Eliza. Um, it's just like you cannot monetize entertainment or memes. It's incredibly difficult, and we're focused on agents for trading, agents for healthcare, agents for insurance, agents for bridges, swaps, agents for trading on Binance. This is mostly focused on real world applications and real world agents. And so we're going to be, improving our infrastructure to match with that thesis. And also a lot of these other people, like if you look at Eliza and you look at Virtuals, like their team has been doing AI for a really long time. They're mostly just like crypto degens that wanted to get into AI because it was hot at the moment, but they actually don't know much about AI. Like our entire team has been doing AI for decades. I alone have been doing AI research for a decade. And so I think there's a very, very big like strategic benefit there because all the things I've seen in AI and crypto are very, I mean, like they've been done before. I haven't seen a single new type of architecture agent feature from either ELIZA or virtuals, which is just incredibly disappointing. They just haven't done anything new. Like everything they've done, all of their frameworks has been done before. There's just nothing new. And so I just consider, like, I just find it very disappointing. And if they continue with this, it's very likely that they'll go out of business, especially if like Swarms is generating a bunch of revenue and enterprises are adopting Swarms agents and other agents in our ecosystem. So yeah, they just don't do anything new. They haven't been doing AI research for a considerably long time. And also their focus is on meme agents instead of real world agents, RWA.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to connect it to real world, right? Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for any kind of usage. And, how will that help you if it doesn't connect to real world, right? Now, I would love to know your vision, Kai, your grandiose vision for the next 5 years. What do you think the market will become in the next 5 years with the advent of agents and Swarm?
So I think within the next 5 years, there's going to be, well, first, definitely there will be more agents than there are human beings. And this won't just be in Web3, this will be in Web2 as well. Agents for finance, agents for insurance, agents for healthcare, agents for manufacturing. I think every single industry in the world, respective of like whatever you do, whatever industry you're in, agents will be in your industry. And I think that the companies that don't adopt agents right now will very likely go out of business because those that adopt agents are faster, they're smarter, they're much more efficient. I think there'll definitely be at least like a one-to-one mapping of like 8 billion plus agents. Beyond that, so that's like the first big milestone. The second one is enabling these agents to create fully autonomous corporate entities where they build products, they launch products, they sell products, they get investors, other agents potentially for their products and their companies, and they run fully autonomous companies. And then you have agents that build new companies, and they're like, like founder agents. And I think like when the realization of fully autonomous companies starts to kick in, I think what we define as economics is going to be completely reshaped. I think the entire world economy is going to change, and at that point, everything will be fully autonomous. Healthcare will be fully autonomous. Every factory in the world will be operated by agents. Agents will be making new factories. Agents will be running hospitals. Agents will be running hedge funds. Agents will be creating new consumer products. Like there will be no fundamental limit as to what the agents will be doing. They will do everything, and they will be doing it much faster, much more smarter, and much more efficiently than human beings will. And at that point, there will be at least 10 times as many agents as there are human beings. And if compute is not the problem, and we start, building fusion reactors and start harnessing more agents, then that number can increase pretty quickly. There could be 1,000 agents for every one human being. And at that point, the differences there at that point will be completely unimaginable. Agents will be doing everything. Every company in the world will just be agents. I don't see a future in which human beings will be in companies anymore. Maybe physical work. I think physical work will be much harder to do. I think humans will have a future in physical work and building
And then
agents.
there's robotics right now, right? Which
Yes,
carries the agent into kind of the physical world through robotics.
yes, but the thing is with robotics is pretty. I'd say like robotics is nowhere near the quality of just digital agents.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take some time for robotics to become, well, first, very massive, like massively produced, and also extremely intelligent. Because the robots need to learn how to walk. They need to learn how to like, place concrete blocks. They need to learn how to like build houses, and they need to learn like how to like cook. Cooking is very difficult. There's a lot of asymmetric movements, and yeah, so I think it's gonna take some time for robots to start becoming like massively democratized. So that'll take some time. because the data that you need is just very different. Like everything on the internet's public. Agents digitally can already do everything. They'd be trained on financial documents, medical documents. They could read like blood splatter analysis. They could analyze people's bloods, people's medical documentation. But like physical robots is an entirely other beast altogether.
So following on the what you mentioned earlier, like probably in 5 years we'll be interviewed by an agent instead of a human being, right? Our bosses, our leaders will probably be an agent instead of someone who's human. Obviously, this is another topic in itself, but I'm just gonna ask. I want to see your views on it. Where do we draw the line between human control and agent control? Obviously, we can't. There's bound to be some kind of permission, right? It's bound to be some sort of line where we can draw. We can't give agents everything, right? There's got to be some human oversight at the very, very top level or governance. What's your view on that?
I do think a vast majority of world leaders in maybe the 5 to 10 years will be agents, because agents are extremely hard to corrupt compared to human beings. Human beings are relatively easy to manipulate, and a lot of the world's outstanding politicians are corrupt. So I'd say it's much easier to corrupt a politician than it is to corrupt an agent. And so, in the future, where agents start to hold positions of political power, I think the people will vote, the people will vote for the agents and their prompts and their configurations that they are most in alignment of. Like you'd be able to add, if you're an advocate for fusion energy, you could vote for an agent that is specifically tied or advocates fusion energy, and then can write bills and or like sign agreements to executive orders or analyze documents with that perspective in mind. So I do think there will be there will still be a democracy, and in this democracy you will vote for agents that have like something similar to which you believe in, or configured with prompts and other guidelines that you agree with. I think this is going to be good, because as I mentioned before, I think humans are lazy. Humans, like, if you look at like most of America's politicians for the past 50 years, they've been mostly useless. They haven't really done anything revolutionary. Like, we went to the moon in the 60s, but what have we done after that? Absolutely nothing. And I don't think it's a problem that we don't have like the economic resources. We don't have the like rare earth minerals or rockets. But I just think it's the management, like the sheer bureaucracy, not only in America though, but like everywhere in the world, is just ridiculous. And I think agents will speed things up to a degree in which humans simply cannot imagine. And this will roughly correlate to the rate of colonization in the universe. Like, I think we should be expanding, we should be colonizing the stars, and we should be, expanding the human species. But this hasn't happened because of bureaucracy and incompetent human management.
Yeah, that would be definitely a future I would look forward to. I love these space exploration games. Been playing that a lot lately. Maybe it's just our subconscious looking, right? Looking to a new world, right? Looking to see what's out there. Wow. Before I let you go, Kai, I got one last question for you. All right, coming back to Swarm, what's your tip for builders and developers that's wishing to kind of build their own AI agent, and what kind of support they could be expecting from Swarm?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, we have our different communities. Like, if you're like, so there's like different multiple dimensions to this question. Like, if you already know something that you're like, if you already have a product idea in mind and you've already started building with Swarms and you want like technical assistance, you could join our Discord or Telegram and, post any issues or any feature requests in the Discord or Telegram or even on GitHub, and I'll look at it, and our team will look at it, and we'll support you as best we can. So that's kind of like the technical side. If you already built the product with Swarms, and it's like an actual startup, then you can apply for our startup program. Within our startup program, we provide marketing support, technical support. We give you free Swarms API credits. And in the chance that the startup is growing really fast and it's impactful, and we think it'll be a good partner for the long term, then we'll consider even in investing in that company as well. So we provide like lots of different support, technical support, go to market support, marketing support, and even like investment. If the startup is doing really well. So yeah, we provide basically like all the type of support that a builder might need in their journey of building agents and building an agentic company.
Awesome. You've heard that. Builders come build with Swarm. Plenty of support. And obviously, as Kai mentioned earlier, education is a big part of getting AI democratized, right? And this will not be the last time we see Kai on Degen Talk, right? We'll be happy to go with Swarm on this journey to kind of educate people. So there will be definitely more people, more team members from Swarm that be coming on to Degen Talk to do presentations, educational content, etc. Right, Kai? That way we could tell people more about how AI agent work and help you build your own AI agent. Yeah, so I think this is it
Absolutely.
for this episode, and yeah, I'll catch you guys next one. Thank you very much for your time, Kai.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. And if you want to learn more about swarms and start building some agents, you can go to our website, Swarms.
Yep, I'll be linking that in the tweet as well. So thank you
Amazing.
guys, and thank you to Kai. I'll see you
Yeah, thank
guys
you.
later.